Hey guys, I'm back with another process video, and I will be using my latest stash kit again, the one that was supposedly just for August but is going on forever. I think it's just because it was so huge and most of the product was new. I still have a lot of ideas I want to do with the kit, so that's why I've done so many layouts. Well, so many for me. I usually don't do this. I usually don't do more than 5 with a kit. But anyway, so I had this idea in my mind, partly inspired by some other layouts. I think Jen Scow had one, and there were some other layouts as well that I saw where they did this sort of circles and cluster with the clusters on them. And I had these beautiful stickers here that are sort of like a wreath, and they have a dominant white outline, and I knew I was gonna have trouble using them if I didn't kind of use them like this. So what I did was I chose a picture again of me in one of the many gardens I went to in France, and then I just glued down those stickers in a row, and now I brought out my watercolor set, and I'm just gonna very messily color them in with green, purple, and pink. So it just kind of brings them to life a bit, and also sets a color scheme for my layout. So this one actually came together pretty fast, just because I sort of had the design in my mind beforehand, and the fact that half of the page was covered by these circles really helped speed up the process. So I'm just adding water and dabbing it up and just kind of spread the pigment ink, add some sort of texture, some shading and that kind of stuff. And also, there's no gesso on my page, so I don't want to go too nuts with the water. So, okay, here what I'm doing is I pull out all of the papers that I had in my kit, other than the 6x6 pads, because I've used those quite a lot in the last couple layouts, and I thought I should try and use some of these other papers. And then I remembered I had this awesome napkin in there, which will match the purple that I used in the watercolor perfectly. So I'm going to mat the picture sort of with that napkin, and then I'm just going through this stack of papers, and I decided I want to stay within the colors of the paint, so green, purple, and pink. I don't want to bring in any blue or anything like that. And I'm also thinking that I might have to back the whole layout on a piece of pattern paper, or do something, or outline it or something. So I'm kind of keeping in mind the what I could use for that. So here's where I decide that I don't want to add the blue, but I am going to add this. I'm going to add a chunk. Okay, I'm going to add a chunk of that heart paper. I think it's a crepe paper, but it's one of those thin one-sided papers from Joann's. And what am I doing here? Oh, so okay, technically this floral paper here has a tiny amount of blue, but the purple and the green is I find are the dominant colors in that pattern, and it's a floral, so I thought, why not? So that cluster up there is basically how the cluster behind the photo is going to look. And now I'm just adding a bit more watercolor. I don't know, I felt like the pigment was off for some stickers. And I'm going to go through my huge stack of embellishments and separate out. What I do usually, especially when I have such a big kit, is I go through everything and I immediately get rid of the packages that I know don't have anything in them that would match my layout. And then I also set aside the ones that do. So I'm thinking now, I'm looking for purples, pinks, and greens, and some sort of title option. I don't really have a title in mind, so if I were to do a title, I would probably use just a ready-made word, and I have plenty of that in this kit. So I'm getting rid of those floral stamps, for example. I'm just flipping through. That one didn't have really the right colors. And because I now want to do a lot of embellishing at the bottom, where the circles are. And it's mostly going to be smaller stuff, though. I am keeping a few alphabets out, just because I might change my mind about the title at this point. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to use a ready-made title. So first thing I'm going to do is going to pick out the titling options that I have, just because they're one of the larger elements of the page, so I should get that down first. So I have a lot of different options. So I have this glitter word explore, which I actually really like on the layout now that I look at it like after the fact, but I'm not going to end up using it. I also have this word happy that's purple, and then I'm also going to add this, I cut out this awesome. So yeah, I actually, looking at it now, I think it might have worked out better if I had used the green word. I don't know, I have a lot of regrets for some reason for this layout, but it's fine. It's still gonna go on the album. The picture's still documented. So anyway, so I have some wood veneer going on here, and I thought since it's a garden, why not use some sort of wood? Yeah. So I'm thinking now that I decide that my title is going to be that awesome. One, because it's small and I can layer it on the photo, and I also, in my mind, I was thinking that adding an embellishment on the photo will kind of draw your attention up to that cluster from the busy circles at the bottom. But I'll get to that later. So anyway, first thing I'm going to do, I did have that little glitter thing from the same pack as the word explore, and I actually really like the glitter in green on this layout, so I'm going to kind of have that in mind on the one circle. And then I also added some dark green hearts, and then here I thought I might as well pull out the cardstock and see if any of these would be a viable option to use to back the whole layout with. And then I just keep going through things, and I thought this is another good opportunity to use these gorgeous stickers. Now I have a lot of trouble using these because they're clear, and since I'm going to be sticking them down on a completely white background, I thought this was a good chance to use them. So I'm gonna glue one down on the photo just to bring in the pink up to that cluster, because there wasn't really much at that time, and also kind of help ground maybe that the word awesome. And then I'm also going to add a few of the yellow clusters. So I did bring in the yellow, but the yellow is kind of close to the green, so it worked out. And then I'm going to add a purple one and a smaller yellow one as well on different parts of the circles. And I'm just still going through embellishments here. I'm going to try to add this pink one, but I found it's too baby pink, whereas the others are more of a bright pink. And even though the phrase, I think it was said something like magical, actually worked really well, I didn't really like the color, how the color matched. So I'm not going to use any of those. Then I'm going to add this purple heart, chipboard heart, to one of the circles for the time being, but then I'm going to end up switching it out when I find something else. I did add one of those pink words as well. I think it says excursion. So now I still felt like I needed to incorporate some more embellishments up onto the photo cluster. So I'm trying to replace the O with the purple heart, and then I've been dying to use these buttons on a layout, and I can't make them work. So I was really trying to use them on this one. I thought about replacing the O with one of them. I'm not going to end up using any of those again. So yeah, anyway, so now I have some washi tape strips that I thought I could use. Oh, I'm going to use one. That says happiness found, and why not? And it was clear. So again, this is a good opportunity to use some of the clear stickers that I usually have trouble using. I really wanted to use those gorgeous rhinestones because I haven't used them yet, but I'm not going to end up using those. I will, however, use those smaller ones I have in this kit. Still trying to incorporate the wood veneer. It's kind of too late because those are actually big pieces, but I remembered I have this set, which I haven't been pulling out much because it's mostly focused on Paris, and I haven't really done any Paris pictures from my France trip yet. But it had this wood veneer heart, which is just a plain simple heart, and I'm gonna stick one down over there on the bottom left. See, I'm marveling at how gorgeous those rhinestones are, but I'm not going to end up using them. So then here I decided to just glue all this paper stuff down and onto the layout and be done with it. And then I decide to add some pink watercolor behind the cluster. Looking at it now, I wasn't really necessary to do that. I actually kind of liked how it looked before. I mean, it's not bad with the watercolor. It's just as good. That's not one of the major regrets I have with this layout. It works out okay. That's that part. So here I did put a little too much pigment, and I wanted to tone it down a bit because it was getting a bit overpowering. So I'm going to pull out my acrylic liquid ink in white and just kind of spread that around to lighten the tone a bit. So adding, just one drop goes a long way with those acrylic paints that I have. I think they're by Pebeo. I use the white one quite a lot for splatter as well, for splattering a page as well. So there's that. I mean, that's not that bad. I like the kind of pinkish background, pinkish hue behind the picture. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm just gonna make sure all of the little embellishments are glued down, and I'm also going to glue down this awesome, the word. So yeah, so after I finished the layout and stopped recording, I was looking at the layout and it was just driving me nuts. So I didn't want to like get rid of the whole word, so I am gonna shift it down a bit so it's not completely on the picture. It's overlapping with some of the paper layers. I will have pictures over on Instagram at some point. So go check out my Instagram account if you want to see how that turned out. I mean, it's not a major difference, but I felt like it kind of made it better. So because I kind of wanted to cover up a bit of that pink at that moment, I did leave a bigger piece of the heart paper visible than I intended to originally, but it's fine. And then here I'm going to add some of these purple rhinestones in the center of the florals, because why not? And then I'm going to add some on each side of the layout. And then I decided that I kind of wanted some sort of outline. So I'm going to use a Stellar Pigment Liner in the 1.0 tip. And that's one of the major regrets I have with this layout. I felt it's too overpowering. I should have used either a thinner tip or my standard technique, which I haven't done in like years, which was just to take a brush and outline the whole layout with the watercolor. That would have worked perfectly fine. I think I would have liked that much more. But anyway, it's done. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.